Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started about a minute early. Well, thanks everyone for being here for this morning's event. I'm Amanda Austin. I'm the Director of Federal Public Policy at the National Federation of Independent Business. I run the Stop the Hit Coalition, and the coalition is comprised of 35 employer groups ranging from farms, retail, manufacturing, really sort of the mom and pop small employers out there supporting the economy. And we're obviously happy that we have a few of them to represent the coalition today. And we're here to really talk about the health insurance tax that's a part of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as ACA, PPACA. Legislation's been introduced in both the House and Senate to repeal the health insurance tax. And we're joined today by our lead co-sponsors. I'd like to introduce them, and just in the essence of time, I'm going to just briefly go through here. Senator John Barrasso from Wyoming is joining us today as the lead sponsor in the Senate. Senator Hatch will be with us in a few minutes. Congressman Charles Bustani, who represents Louisiana's 3rd District, and Congressman Jim Matheson from Utah, who represents the 4th Congressional District. So, in short, we've got 7 speakers. And I know the business owners want to speak, and I kind of get out of breath these days. But each one of these members have really been a true champion for small business, both here in Washington and at home. I know from personal experience with NFIB, they have really led numerous bills and legislation that have been passed that have really contributed to small businesses' economic growth. And so at the end of the day, you really make small business proud. So we appreciate you coming today. And with that, I'd like to start off with Senator Barrasso and his comments.
Well, thank you very much, Amanda, for doing this, and thank you for NFIB. As a practicing physician in Casper, Wyoming for many years, I was a member of the National Federation of Independent Business, because that's what we were, an independent business. And what we're looking forward to today is hearing from the business leaders who are here from around the country because of the impact of this health insurance tax. And, some business owners around the country felt some minor sense of relief when the president delayed for 1 year, the employer mandate, but he didn't delay the hit that the employers who do provide insurance are going to have because of this health insurance tax, which needs to be repealed. And this isn't a partisan issue because we have bipartisan support here, Republicans and Democrats, because in all of our districts, in all of our states, small businesses play a vital role in the community and in the economy. In Wyoming, we have 66,000 small businesses. It employs about 220,000 people. So this is going to hurt communities, hurt the employers, and it hurts jobs, and it hurts paychecks. So with that, I'm delighted to have a bipartisan support in the House, but what we're really here to do is hear from the businesses of how it affects them and the people that work for them. So thank you very much, Amanda, for allowing me to be with you today. Thank you.
Well, thanks. I want to thank Senator Barrasso for his leadership, by the way, and my good friend Senator Hatch, who is my own senator, by the way, and appreciate him, and Mr. Bustani, who has been a real champion on this issue from day one, and it's always a pleasure to work with him as well. I also am interested in hearing from the business owners. In fact, if I can I'm going to confine my comments to what happened in the House Small Business Committee hearing earlier this year, where one of my constituents came to Washington to testify. His name's Ryan Thorne. He operates an insurance agency in South Jordan, Utah, and he himself is also a small employer. As his business is there to help other employees purchase insurance and administer health plans, I thought his testimony provided a really great opportunity to get a perspective both from the small business side and someone who's advising people on health insurance as well. And he mentioned how his clients are appropriately worried about how this tax increase is going to affect their already sizable health care cost commitments. One client in particular said that the tax scares the daylights out of him and threatens not only his ability to provide coverage, but to remain in business altogether. I think we all know why we're here. We want to create some momentum for this legislation. We've got a great group of co-sponsors in the House of Representatives. We've got good numbers, but we want to keep pushing. And we're roughly a little less than 6 months away from where this goes into effect. So the time is now to really ratchet this up and encourage people to focus on what this really means in the real world. legislation takes on a theoretical context back here in Washington, but out in the real world, it matters to people. And that's why it's so important that we have real-world business people here to talk about what it means to them. That's the way we ought to evaluate this legislation. Again, thanks to NFIB for pulling this event together.
Well, I too want to thank NFIB and the Stop the Hit Coalition. Thank you, Amanda, for all you're doing. And Jim, it's a pleasure to work with you on this bipartisan bill. And I always enjoy working with you. You're a thoughtful leader in Congress. And I do want to thank the two senators, Senator Hatch and Senator Barrasso, for their leadership in introducing this very important legislation in the U.S. Senate. So we've got leadership in both chambers. We have bipartisan legislation here in the House with well over 218 co-sponsors. So we're building momentum, and we're going to continue to push on this momentum to get this done, because this health insurance tax, which will be implemented soon under Obamacare, is going to simply cause a major cost increase for insurance for small businesses and families. And in fact, I've held a number of small business roundtables back home where I've met with small business owners to understand what their concerns are with this and many other issues facing them today. And we know that somewhere around 87% of small business owners and all those who purchase individual policies are going to be affected by this in the form of higher premiums. We have to stop this onerous tax that is going to cause these kinds of problems. And we have significant momentum in the House. We're going to continue to push. We'll work with our Senate colleagues. And I'm hopeful we can get something done before this Congress adjourns for the year. It's no small wonder, as we're looking at a time when unemployment is high in this country and lingering. We have problems with slow growth affecting this country. Small businesses are wanting to create value, wanting to create jobs, and yet they're facing tremendous headwinds. And this is one of those that's been a big problem. And so I'm very pleased today that we'll have some business owners who will give their own personal perspectives. And in fact, we have a business owner from my home state, Mike Mitternite, who is here with us from Metairie, Louisiana. And I'm really glad he's here today because he'll talk about how this is going to affect his business particularly. Thank you, and we'll be happy to answer questions later.
Well, thank you. I don't think I see Senator Hatch yet, so I'm just going to roll along and have the business owners come up. I'm going to introduce three individuals who truly represent the reason why we're here. Obviously, we are kind of the face of NFIB or the Rental Association, and the Chamber of Commerce, but we really can only capture part of the small business owner's story, how they started their business, and really I guess sort of the day-to-day that they go through as a business owner, really kind of putting their capital on the line, hiring and investing in economic growth here in the United States. So it's always my pleasure to have business owners and also to have an NFIB member as well to share their story about the effect of this health insurance tax. And just to put this quickly in perspective, this is really at a minimum $500 per employee per firm. And really, most small businesses and individuals purchase in this fully insured market. So we're talking about millions of people that are going to be hit with a pure $500 per head non-deductible amount annually. And it's only going to go up from there. And it has no policy implication whatsoever. It's just a tax. So obviously, that's why we're concerned about it. And just obviously the three that are here today is Joe and Andrea Morshed. I'm going to get that right, from Biddeford, Maine. The Southerner trying to get there on that. So, Mike Mitternite, owner and president of Factory Service Agency in Louisiana, and Gina Martin, co-founder of Little Rock Tours and Travel in Arkansas, my home state. So thank you very much for all three of you coming, and I think we're going to kick it off with Joe and Andrea. So come on up. Thanks.
You're not getting Andrea.
Okay, we'll just take you.
Good morning. My name is Joe Morshed. I am president and owner of Precision Screw Machine Products. We're a high-precision contract manufacturer located in southern Maine in Biddeford. My wife, Andrea, owns more stock than I do, so you get to listen to me instead. The hit is really bad, and it's really made worse because this month we renewed our health insurance for the coming year, and we already had an 18 to 22% increase this year in our benefits. The problem is knowledge can be scary sometimes because as a mom and pop shop, we tend to be very paternal. We're small. We have 35 employees. And so we're involved in our employees' lives, in their children's lives. We know what's going on. And I had the pleasure of saying, hey, guys, I'm going to whack you 18 to 22% on your health care this year. We always split the cost. We've historically split the cost in the last 6 or 7 years. We used to provide 100%. And I had to tell them, we're going to get hit next year with another $500. Now, these are working class people, just the salt of the earth kind of people, making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. And so when we're already taking $5,000 to $7,000 a year out of them for their health insurance, now to take another $500, I'm at the point now where our margins are so squeezed when we can no longer take these hits. I don't even know why they're calling it a hit. They should be calling it a kick or a smack, quite honestly. It's going to be devastating to us. It really is. It's going to impact our bottom line. It's going to impact the lives of our employees. We're Mainers. We'll survive. This is what we do. We'll figure it out with our employees. But I'm getting really tired of this. I've been doing this for 32 years, and running a high-precision manufacturing company, as difficult as it is, as we've seen markets disappear and business go away, but to have this added burden, it's just something that we really can't deal with, and something needs to be done. So I really want to thank our elected officials for introducing this legislation. And I know that when I left and I was telling people I was coming down here, you know, they said, Joe, you got to do something. You've always been able to do something. And I said, you know, folks, this is sort of out of my hands. I'm really sorry, but this is the future of healthcare. The best I can tell you is don't get sick. So with that, again, I want to thank you all for sponsoring the legislation. You need to do something, because our health insurance, as a high-precision manufacturer, we've always paid above average wages, and we've always provided a decent living. But that's slowly changing. We're starting to see that erode over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's made an impact on our employees. So you need to do something. So again, I thank you on behalf of my wife and our employees. We thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you.
Save Amanda getting up and introducing me. Senators and representatives, I want to thank you for this opportunity to address this issue today. My name is Mike Mitternight. My company is Factory Service Agency. We're a commercial air conditioning service and installation firm located in the suburbs of New Orleans in Metairie, Louisiana. We were founded in 1975 by my father-in-law, and we've grown at various times to as many as 20-plus people. We currently employ between 8 to 10 people. And we've made these changes based on the changing demands in our industry and probably because of the benefits that we have to provide. We've always provided health insurance for our employees. In fact, we pay 100% of the premiums for our employees, 100%. When we start looking at something like this sort of an increase, it becomes devastating to us. The health market has always been a fluctuating situation. Since 2006, it's become a real time-consuming effort every year to arrange renewals and try to discuss these issues. Since 2006, our premiums, if we had kept the same basic plan that we had previously, would have increased roughly 41%. I've kept that increase down to roughly 21 to 22% over that period of time because I've raised our deductibles. I've changed all of the coverage levels that we have, more out of pocket, higher copays, and everything else that goes with it for our employees. And it becomes tough for us to keep providing it. I was informed just at the end of last week that I should anticipate, when we renew in early 2014, a premium increase of between 35 and 40% on our premiums due to the impending health care bill. So we will be looking to adjust our renewal schedule or whatever we need to do to try to keep that percentage down to maybe something nominal like maybe 6 or 7% if we play the games right. But that's only going to carry us for a year. And then when 2015, if this thing is not repealed, we're going to be looking at that 30 to 40% increase or more. And that's something that we just can't handle. We never get specific reasons as to why this is coming to place, but we know why. We know the bill that's been passed and what it's going to do to us. Another $500 per person. If I stay at the same level of 10 employees, that's $5,000 a year off of my bottom line. It cuts down the number of employees that I can hire. It eliminates the equipment that I can purchase to expand my business. It impacts the kind of jobs that we bid because the cash flow is just not there to be able to handle these things. These are the reasons that I think it's very important we do something to repeal this. I think the HIT tax is an appropriate name for it because it is really going to hit small businesses if this is not repealed. We need to do something to make this change, and that's why not only myself but the other speakers that we have here today, we're small business owners. We spend our time running our businesses, but we belong to groups like NFIB and NSBA and every other group that you can possibly join that are all members of the coalition to try to work with our legislators and get this ridiculous tax removed so that we don't have to face it when next year rolls around. We appreciate you guys' help, and we will offer anything that we can to work with you to try to support this repeal. Thanks.
My name is Gina Martin. I am the co-founder of Little Rock Tours and Travel. We are a motor coach transportation company and a retail tour service. I started it 10 years ago as a small business, ran it out of my home for a little while, and it got bigger and bigger. And in 10 years, we have grown to 37 employees. However, we've been counting the FTEs, and we're up to 47. So it varies from week to week depending on the number of trips that we do because our drivers work 15-hour days when they spend the night. So we have a very unique business in that we transport people to different places across the country. Motor coach travel impacts cities in a very positive way. We bring tourism dollars and hotel sales tax dollars to all the destinations, and we plan retail tours. Well, as I grew the business much larger and much quicker than I ever thought it would grow, we decided to start offering benefits such as health insurance. And back in 2006, we paid 100% of the premium, thinking this is going to be a good benefit to retain our good employees. Well, as the cost of health insurance increased, we had to do something about it, so we cut what we offered in half. We decided to start paying 50% of all the employee benefits, and now the HIT comes along. And in reviewing the increased cost of our health care, this might be something that we might not be able to offer anymore. And how it impacts our business is that drivers are very hard to come by. And every transportation company in America will tell you their biggest concern is trying to find qualified drivers. And we thought by offering great health benefits, our drivers would stick around, so we did. And you have to keep in mind the investment and the time that we put into hiring safe drivers and training them and teaching them about DOT compliance and making sure that our passengers are safe, because that's what matters most to us, is the safety of our passengers. Well, if we take away the health insurance of our drivers, it would be catastrophic to our company. We would lose all of our drivers, and without drivers, we wouldn't have a business. And the HIT is going to make it nearly impossible to continue to offer to all of these drivers their benefits. And I was recently at a conference, and I often speak to other tour operators, other motor coach operators around the country, and we actually have 16 motor coaches. So I often talk to other operators who are my size, own between 10 to 35 vehicles. And we often compare our sales numbers, and sales are okay. They are good. The problem, though, in our industry is the cost of doing business. Although the sales have been decent, the cost of doing business keeps creeping up. We've had higher unemployment taxes. We've had higher DOT compliance regulatory fees. The permit fees are going up. And every other aspect in transportation has been going up and up and up and up. And now the HIT comes along. And so we're going to have to make a choice. Do we continue to offer health insurance? Because with the $500 per person average it's going to cost us, again, the results of that are just catastrophic. Not just really for my business, but other businesses like mine. I just came off of a conference where health insurance and this tax was at the forefront. And it's never at the forefront. We're usually talking about safety and passengers, new tours to be offered, But this has become the forefront of the conversation. And it's simply because none of us really understand how we're going to continue to stay in business, because our piece of the pie keeps shrinking to nearly nothing. And it doesn't do us any good to put in 50, 60, 70 hours a week and a lot of stress. We're transporting people across the country, and that's a lot of stress for nothing, because it's all going out for another tax. So I certainly appreciate everything that you've done in understanding small businesses, and I urge all of you to contact your legislators and tell them to stop the hit. Thank you.
Great. Well, thanks, Gina. I see Senator Hatch rounding out the group is here. Thank you for coming. Come on up. Senator Hatch is here with us. Obviously, he and Congressman Matheson know small business very well. Utah is comprised mostly of small businesses, and he's been a fantastic champion for small business for many, many years in the Senate, and I welcome you, and I'm so thankful that you're here today. So I'll turn the mic over for a few comments, and then we'll take Q&A. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you. Well, you know, when is this going to cease from killing us? To be honest with you, the Obamacare has been an abomination. And it's getting worse all the time. The Democrats know it. That's the thing. And why they're trying to still sell it, I'll never understand. But I actually believe in time they're going to just plain throw their hands in the air and say we've got to go to a single-payer system, which is, after all, what they were after to begin with. A one-size-fits-all, federal government-run healthcare system in our society. We do that, I got to tell you, everybody's going to be paying through the nose the rest of their lives, and we're moving right straight towards what most people would call socialism. Now look, just about every week, it seems like there's another aspect of Obamacare that has to be rolled back. Given the size, scope, and nature of legislation which jammed through Congress in such a partisan manner, the monumental problems of getting Obamacare online should not be surprising. But that's certainly no comfort to the American people, who will have to pay for this disastrous law through higher taxes, higher premiums, and higher health care costs. We already know that the premium support is going to go off the charts. And we know that it's, and now they don't even require evidence of how much they're earning. I mean, guess how much fraud? The EITC amounts to about, the Earned Income Tax Credit. Most people agree that the fraud is between 20 and 25%. It's billions of dollars. This is even bigger, because the fraud in this will be that or more, the way they're running this thing. Just look at the devastating impact that Obamacare's tax on health insurance will have on the American people themselves. I mean, it's really, this is serious stuff. In the last 6 months, in just 6 months, health insurance companies will be whacked with a tax that will be passed on to consumers in the form of higher premiums. One study shows that the family premium is going to go up by $5,000. An individual will see a $2,150 jump. What's more important is that this is the effect of this impact on job creators. Over the next 10 years, this tax will impose $102 billion at least on businesses and their employees, diverting money that could be used to pay higher wages, new hires, better benefits, and investments back into their businesses. That's a whopping amount of money. According to the National Federation of Independent Business, this law would result in somewhere between 148,000 to 262,000 fewer jobs between now and 2023. And more than half of those job losses will fall on the backs of small businesses. Now, we simply cannot sustain that type of hit to jobs in the economy that is certainly struggling right now and continues to struggle. I think the American people need relief from the skyrocketing costs of this bill. It's not going to get better. And like I say, I think it's exactly why I joined my friend and colleague, Senator John Barrasso, my friend and colleague, these two wonderful men from the House, colleagues I should say, in introducing this legislation to repeal this tax on job creators and their employees. The President promised that the health law would lower health care costs and reduce premiums by $2,500. Now, we told him, and I was one who told him before the law passed, that there was no way that he could keep that promise. And here we are today watching Obamacare unravel as middle-class families are paying the price. And we need to end this assault on small businesses and relieve them from this job-crushing law by repealing this really unjust insurance tax. And, of course, if I have my way, we would repeal Obamacare in its entirety and start over. I don't think you can repair that law. It is really that bad. I just met with the head of CMS yesterday, who I think is doing an incredibly good job under the circumstances. She said that agency is going to be over $1 trillion next year. Think about that. And that's just trying to keep up with what some of the things that Obamacare demands. This is really a tragedy, and we got to face it, or we're all going to find a situation where we just can't afford it, and this country may not be able to recover in the way that it should ever in the future. So I really want to compliment my colleagues from the House. I want to compliment them for their willingness to lead this fight, and of course Senator Barrasso and others who are also leaders in this matter. And I'll do my humble little bit to try and help as well. I've got to get back over to the Finance Committee, so I apologize for jumping in and leaving right away. But God bless all of you. I appreciate you.